Welcome back to Real Conversations with Nora, our 14th episode. And our topic of discussion this week is the pressure of being single and spiritual at the same time as a young woman, especially in this day and time. Joining me today is my niece, Kiera Ellis. Thank you,
Hello.
Kiera, for joining Auntie today, being my special guest.
Of course.
Share with us your thoughts on the pressure of being single and spiritual at the same time as a young woman in this day and time.
I think the pressures of being single and spiritual, I think there are regular pressures. I think now that we're in a pandemic, it's even more because we're still semi-quarantine. I mean, I know I just kind of do small things. I don't really go out that often. And so I'm not trying to risk getting COVID, trying to meet a new man. So I think that has kind of put a damper on things, but I also think that it's even harder because, there's a lot more women than there are men. And then too, when you have higher standards and you're like, okay, I'm not trying to have sex, I'm not trying to do other things, that can be intimidating to a man. So it's also trying to find the right man who will respect and honor those things, who will be okay with those standards. So I think that it is hard. I think that it is doable, but I think that it's harder. But you just have to make sure that you're not lowering your standards. You're not compromising what you believe and what you feel is the right thing to try to get with a dude.
Okay. So how do you feel about being single?
I have my days. Some days I'm like, okay, cool, because I can just hang out with my friends and do whatever it is I want to do. I don't have to check in with anybody. But there's other days when I'm talking to my aunts, they're reminding me that, I don't have as many eggs as I used to. The family babies are now, growing up and they want more kids in the family. So I do have those days where I'm like, okay, Lord, where is he? But then I also think like, okay, maybe I'm not where I need to be. That's why the Lord hasn't blessed me with that person. Maybe there's still some more individual things that I have to do with my business or just personally, internally, spiritually, physically, all those things. And it's like, okay, once you're in the position where you're ready to receive, God will send that person. So it's just working on that internal healing and just making sure that you're ready for that. Because when it comes, it's like, okay, you can say, I'm ready to get married, I'm ready to get married. Then when God presents the person, you're kind of like, I said I was ready, but I don't know if I'm ready. So I definitely think you have to be in a position and ready to receive when that time happens.
Okay. So why do you think spiritual young ladies have a hard time finding love? In this time, if you go from the world we live in, you know.
I think because you see so many. What'd you say?
I said because there seems to be a lot more single women that are Christians.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times women have this list. And I am one of those people, like I have a list of like 60, 70 things that I want my husband to have. But I mean, of course, like every person that you meet and even the person that, you gel well with, they not have everything on your list. But I think I was watching a sermon by Michael Todd and he was saying like, rip up your list. And so I think sometimes like you can be so stern and so staunch, like on this list, like I want my man to have X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you can miss out on, what God has for you. Like I always joke with my friends, like I want 6'3" in chocolate, but that might not be what the Lord wants for me. But the desires of my heart is, 6'3" chocolate, but not that very superficial. So, the desires that I need internally and spiritually might be, someone who's shorter, someone who's lighter. What the physical attributes are, because at the end of the day, God knows exactly what you need. And so I think sometimes we can be really staunch on that list. I think sometimes we just settle. I mean, you said that a lot of women are single, but I also think that a lot of women settle. I think that because, you're getting up in age and you're like, you know what? I can deal with this. This is not that bad. And I feel like even me, like in relationships, I was just like, Kiera, you wasted a year, you wasted 2 years of your life in the person that you knew wasn't the right person for you because you saw red flags and you just like, oh, they'll change. Oh, you know, it'll happen. But then when it doesn't work out, you're like, I wasted all this time. And my mom always says, what you don't like about a person or what you can't deal with the person, times 1,000. Now, if it's something you can deal with, then you can marry them. Not something that you can't deal with, don't marry them because it's only gonna escalate. It's only gonna get worse because you're with that person so much more. And so marriage is for better or for worse. And so I know my generation, we just be like, oh, you doing this? Okay, I'm out. And so I definitely think that you need to take your time and do your due diligence. And so maybe that's why a lot of spiritual women are single, because they're doing their due diligence. They're not just being with anybody because they're single. And so they're waiting, you know, to meet the right person. So if it takes me to meet the right person until I'm 40, I'd rather do that than, you know, marry a clown and then end up divorced or end up, you know, with children, and now my kids are in a broken home, and now, you know, that's a lot going on with that. And so we have to be careful with, you know, how kids are raised, because we're raising these tiny humans, and so they're going to be in society, and we just have to protect, you know, what they see and how they're raised.
Wouldn't you say, though, also too, that a big part of that is how you're treated, and the fact that you're loved? You know, there's that, you know, the love that, you know, not because he's handsome and he's 6 feet tall and he's chocolate and he's fine, but he may not know how to treat you.
Absolutely.
You know, versus someone who you may not think is the one, but they treat you like you're a queen.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that. I definitely think it's all about how that person treats you, how they interact with your family, how they love the Lord, like how they love their mom. Like I always say, like the way a man treats his mama is the way that he is gonna treat you. So how does he treat his mom? How does he interact with his friends? How does he treat the other women in his life? Is he consistent? Because consistency is like really, really high. It's like, okay, you met me for a week, and then after that, it's like, no. Like, is he generous? Is he kind? Is he giving? You know, does he make time for you? Those things are really, really important. So I'll say, like, okay, I want somebody to be cute, but that's lower on my list. Like, are you gonna treat me well? Do you love the Lord? Is your credit together? Do you have baby mamas? You know, all those, you know, kind of things. Those things are important. You know, because looks fade, like that kind of stuff, that fades. But, you know, do you have integrity? You know, are you okay with, do you have mentors? Like, do you read? You know, what does that look like? So the things that really matter, as opposed to, you know, you're just tall, dark, and handsome.
Right. Let's talk about not how to compromise, that you shouldn't compromise who you are as a Christian woman. How important is that? Not to compromise who we are as Christian women. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. I think you gain a lot of respect, actually, when you like say, okay, this is what I'm not gonna do. I think that sets you apart from the women who don't. I think I feel like men only do what you allow them to do. So if you say, like, this is my standard, this is what I require. If he likes you enough, he'll get with it. It might be a little hard if he's used to girls, you know, just like throwing it at him or whatever. But men will work for what they really, really want.
Right.
It's funny. I was joking with my dad when he was dating his mom, and my uncle married my aunt. And so my mom's older sister, my uncle, was saying he came along early and all this stuff he had to do with my granddad. So he paved the way for my dad and my younger aunts, you know, for their husbands. He was like, oh, they had it easy. I was like, I can't see my dad doing all this hard work, doing all this with my granddad to get with my mom, just because my dad is kind of like, I can't fix stuff, but I can pay somebody to fix it. That's the kind of dad I have. So I was like, Dad, I can't really see you doing all that manual labor. And he was like, if I wanted bad enough, I would have figured it out. And so that just shows you that if a man, depending on what a man wants, he will step out of like what his comfort zone is, what he's used to. He will figure out how to get what he wants. And that kind of happened in the Bible. I don't know if it was Jacob or somebody. He worked all those years to get with Rachel, and he worked extra to get with her. So men will work and do whatever to get what they want, but you also have to present yourself to be that woman who you value yourself enough that you're like, okay, you gonna work, and so if you don't want to, I'm okay with you leaving. I think a lot of times we're not okay with that person leaving. We're like, okay, let me just do a little bit of this, let me do a little bit of that, because we're afraid of the person leaving or, you know, being left alone.
Right. So let's talk about how important it is to keep our bodies pure as women. Talk a little bit about that. Young women. You know, there's in the book of in the Bible where God talks about the older women and the younger women the older women mentoring the younger women and talking to them about, you know, their bodies being pure. But then, you know, they're confronted with everything that's going on in the world. So it's almost like, you know, you're balancing, you're trying to figure out which way, you know, which direction you should go. And so, you know, I really think, you know, it's important for young women to know that, but that's from me. They'll probably say, oh, you're older, you know, that, you know, but we're younger. So let's talk about from your perspective, being young, you're young, and the importance of keeping your body pure. Like you said, for the one that God is going to send you.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that that's really, really important. I think it's definitely easier said than done. Because I mean, you do have those temptations, and you know, you're on your own, and you want to test things out. You want to just like, let me see. And so it's so much on TV and in movies, and just, you know, in our world, in music, in, you know, so much stuff. So I definitely understand like the pressures and the temptation is there. But I definitely think that holding out is definitely, there's a blessing in it. I just look at my best friend. She was a virgin until she got married, and the Lord blessed her with an amazing husband. She met him, and 7 months later, they were engaged, and now they have a brand new baby. She got pregnant kind of like on her honeymoon. So just like her life has just been so blessed. Like she got a promotion in the middle of a pandemic. So I just think that God, when you honor God, you are blessed. And so it's just like she was saying the other day, like, I was just driving to work and I was just worshiping. I was just thinking, God, it was like, Lord, like, you blessed me with an amazing husband. He helping me with this baby. We both got promotions and we're just doing amazing. And they've been married a year. So it's just, I think God honors you when you honor him. And I'm not saying that if you mess up that you can't get blessed, but I really just think that, like, she was super, super, super blessed because she was honored God, and she honored God with her body. So now she doesn't even have anything to compare her husband to. I think that's hard too. It's kind of like if you didn't have sex with all these people, it's kind of like you with your husband and you thinking about, well, he don't do what he used to do. So I think that it's a lot of that too. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm happy with my husband because this is all I know. So sometimes with that, it's kind of like, I don't know if your mind wanders to what somebody else is doing when you with your husband, but I definitely think that when you honor God, you definitely are blessed in the process.
Right. And it sounds like she set some boundaries for herself. These were the goals and things that she was not willing to compromise on. And because she honored God with her body, the Bible tells us that our body is holy and acceptable, totally acceptable unto God. To me, that's God saying, you know, your body is holy. And so you have to treat it that way. And it sounds like that's what your friend did. So that
and her husband respected that and was like, that's not what you want to do. Like, you don't want to have sex? Okay, cool. And so he was okay with that, which goes back to if a man really wants something so bad, he will honor whatever you put in front of him.
Right. And he was willing to wait for her. Right. Absolutely. And you know what? Also, too, even it probably said to him, wow, this is something that's a gift to me, because she was willing to wait. And so he respects her even that much more. And that showed his true love for her because of the fact that she was willing to wait and not compromise. I love that. So let me ask you this. is it important to find the right person? Because you talked a little bit about this, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more. Because a lot of times well, maybe I don't need to find the right person because my time clock is ticking, and I'm in my 30s, and I need to get married. I need to have some babies. I need to give my parents, some grandchildren, and so you start thinking, those emotional thoughts. So talk a little bit about that, feeling that way because you are 30 and, like you said, you were thinking about your time clock ticking away,
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that waiting is really hard because I think we are in a microwave / Amazon Prime society. We want them right now, right? So Amazon has really spoiled us. So it's really hard to wait. But when you think about and you see so many people who don't wait and then they're married and then you look up, it's like, wow, like they're divorced a year later, they're divorced 2 years later. It's like, that's not what I want. Like, it's already hard getting over a breakup. I can imagine like how hard it is to get over like somebody that I was actually married to. Like you have a big, beautiful wedding, all these people come, and then so we even make it. I know like there has to be shame, there has to be like guilt, there has to be so many things attached to that, and I just don't want to have to go through that. So it's kind of like I'd rather wait, which I don't like doing. But I feel like there's a blessing in finding somebody that you're compatible with. And it's so sad because I was joking with my best friend and we were talking about something. I was like, people ain't married no more. Like, people are divorced. So it's kind of like nobody's married anymore. And so I know the blessing it was living in a 2-parent household. And I want to be able to give that to my kids. Because there's so many people who grew up with just one parent. And it's like, no, it's like my parents have been married 32 years. That's literally all that I know. Most of my aunts, they've been married and never been divorced. My mom's sister. So like, that's all I know. Like I only had one uncle, my entire life. So looking at that, knowing that I come from that, and my 2 older cousins, they've both been married over 10 years. So, and they have kids. So being able to have mentors and people in your life that can pour into you and just say like, there's a blessing in waiting and finding that person. And not saying that every marriage is perfect because it's work. So it's like, I'd rather work with the person that I am compatible with. I'd rather, work because I feel like when you rush into something, now you're doing extra work because you weren't patient. And so in this waiting, it's a lot of things that I know that I need to work on. Because when I become a wife, there's a lot of things that I need to have that maybe right now I don't even have. So I want to make sure that I'm the best Kiera and I'm coming in individually. I'm coming in whole. I'm coming in the best me that I can be so that when I partner with that person that we can become one together.
Right. And the Bible says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So, if you wait, he'll find you.
Exactly. He his favor.
So the last question is, how important is it for you to be accountable to someone? And Uncle Neil and I were talking about that. He said, well, what do you mean? Well, you have to have those people that you're accountable to. Like, okay, Kiera, you're going to the left. I need you to go straight. Or Kiera, that blouse is a little too low. Auntie Nora will say that, right? Yeah. But those people that care about you and that will hold you accountable to walking and being the woman that God has called you to be and not what the world has called you to be. So talk about that, how important that is to you.
I think that's really important. Me and my mom are really close, so she definitely holds me accountable. But I would say my friends hold me accountable and my big cousins. So I always talk about my little cousin, Gabby. Like, I think she's my child, but Gabby's mom is actually my first cousin. And so we're really close. So she'll definitely hold me accountable. Like, so what time did you get home? Like, she thinks, like, how I think Gabby is my child, she thinks I'm her child. So she'll ask me, what happened on the day? What time did you get home? Did he try anything? Remember this, remember that? You're not supposed to be, I'm like, okay, mom, okay, I got a mom. Okay. So, but it's nice to have those people that think that highly of you, remind you that you are a child of God, remind you that you don't have to do certain things in order to be with the man. I would say even my brother will hold me accountable. Because, he was like, here, like, you need to walk in integrity. So I think that, having, people in your life that really care about you, that maybe see things in you that you don't see yourself, and know that you were built for more, that you were created for greater. And so don't even compromise, don't even sell yourself that short, that these are some things that you have to do just to get a man, or just to get him to, do a little bit of this and that. I think that you definitely need those kind of people in your life, and I'm just happy that I have more than what I need.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, Kiera, I want to thank you for being our guest today on Real Conversations with Nora. Are there any last minute comments that you would like to share with the audience once again?
I would just say there is a blessing in waiting. I would say that no matter like how old you are, how young you are, I definitely think that there's a blessing in waiting just in life. I would say whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's spiritual. I know that we don't like waiting, but there's some things that you need to grow in yourself when you're in that place of waiting. So, even praying and asking God for things and you feel like he hasn't answered, it's like, okay, just keep working on yourself, because when you need that answer, he's going to show up and give that to you. And so in this pandemic, in this quarantine, it's the perfect time to learn about you. Spend some time with you. A lot of times we always want to be around our friends or be in a relationship, but it's like, learn who you are. Learn what makes you happy, what makes you tick. Sometimes we don't even know what makes us happy. How are we going to tell somebody else how to make us happy when we're not even happy with ourselves, know how to make ourselves happy, and don't even enjoy being by ourselves? If I don't enjoy my own company, he ain't gonna enjoy my company. So I would say take some time, maybe once a week, getting to know yourself. Take yourself on a date. Do some self-care. Watch a movie. Read a book. I started doing my nails in quarantine, doing my toes. That's my self-care time where I just relax, I think, and meditate with doing my nails. And so that's something that I found like, okay, these are where I'm going to get my thoughts out. Maybe start journaling and just tracking the progress of how far you've come.
Well, I want to again thank you, Kiera, for your insight on the topic today and being on our show today. I so appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And to my audience, A Real Conversation with Nora, please follow us on social media, on Instagram at BWOTMFG, and on Facebook at Business Women on the Move for God. Visit our website at bwotmfg.com and sign up for our weekly inspirational quotes. I want you to join us this year at our conference. The speakers are going to be amazing. The dates are September the 12th through the 13th, and it will be virtual this year, obviously because of the pandemic. And you can register at bwotmfg.com. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Real Conversations with Nora. Have a blessed and awesome week. God bless you.